everyone, and welcome to the Junk to Jewels podcast with Georgette Beck. Today, I am so excited to introduce my special guest, Sandy Dworkin. I can't wait till you meet her. But before we introduce her officially, is here. The book we've been talking about for over a year or more. I've been working on it. Actually, this was a dream of 27 years ago, called Junk to Jewels, A Journey from Brokenness and Despair to Beauty and Delight. Dreams do happen, guys. Don't ever give up on them. So check it out. Amazon will have it released January 21, 2025. Oh my goodness. And it's on the Kindle platform. There's an audio version. So however you like to read your new books. And it of course will be link on my website. But so Sandy Dworkin, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great and I'm blessed to be here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. I know Sandy from our community at Nettles Island on Hutchinson Island. For over 5 years, we've been neighbors and I love watching her. She is just like you see now. She's full of energy. And she's how old, Sandy?
I am 71. Proud of it.
I like it. And you wouldn't tell because she does her steps daily and she's out and about. She dances like crazy, which we're going to get into. Yeah. But I love it that you're a mom of 2 sons.
I am.
And Jonathan, what's your son's other name?
Justin.
Justin and Jonathan.
Yeah.
Jonathan is here with us in the studio, so maybe he'll pop in as he's saying hi. He's waving.
Yeah.
So that was nice that he got to come. And you're a grandma, so you're called Mimi.
I am called Mimi.
Of how many?
I've got 4.
Oh,
4. They keep coming.
I know, that's a blessing.
I don't know when to quit, but we have to have that talk. You know?
No, I think when the grandkids start coming, they can go at it. So we have 7 grandsons.
Yeah.
And 1 girl on the way. And matter of fact, we're waiting for that phone call, y'all. She's in Africa.
Oh, my.
And she was due 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
But we have the really fun relationships with our grandkids, isn't it?
Yep.
The love that is just, oh my gosh, so good for the heart and stuff.
It's it.
So now you've been married for how many years?
49. Whoa. How'd that happen? Whoa.
I can't wait. I hope you do something spectacular for the big 50.
Well, we're
and
hoping.
You're married to Bob. And how did you meet Bob?
I met him at the University of Cincinnati. We were students in the same field, communications. And like I said, we communicated quite well. So here we are 49 years later communicating.
See what happens when you communicate well, the connections occur. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And I found this fact fascinating because I've been researching my own health journey here. I've lost some weight and books is how I do it, but you've never smoked and you hardly ever drank.
No, right. Correct. That is correct.
And that worked.
It works for me. I can't speak for everyone else. If I drank sweet tea, I think that would be such a high that I don't need booze, but, everybody's different and I certainly don't knock other people's vices.
Yeah.
If they want to do it, go for it.
Yeah. I just love knowing that. So your career path had a lot of history there and interesting things. So share about your career path.
I've always been in communication and customer service. I wouldn't call myself a career woman, but I have always worked. I had to work because my husband never got insurance benefits. So I had to do that and I enjoyed every minute of it. And in the career field, they always wanted me to become a sales manager or move up, but I was so happy in sales. And the key to that is just be happy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I was so happy. I became the first $1 million sales rep. And this is a company where they called it into me. In other words, I wasn't making cold calls. They were calling me and I had to upsell and cross sell. And I was the first person in my company to do that. So I'm proud of myself.
I think that's amazing.
I give myself a atta girl. That's what I did.
I love it. So see, you were a great, I think you're great communication and your personality and your, like you said, you enjoyed what you did. The passion came through.
The passion did.
So when I was a little, in a word processor unit, I was customer service rep. Have you ever heard of Tom Peters?
No.
He was the customer service guru. He wrote In Search of Excellence.
Okay.
So you probably lived out what his book recommended.
Well,
because those are the successful people.
I was having fun at what I did and I enjoyed what I did. And that's what life is about. If you enjoy it, if you're happy, if you have a smile on your face, life is good.
Yeah.
But I was never a doctor, or lawyer, or real estate agent, or not knocking real estate agents, but that
we became
real estate. whoa, I'm in trouble here, aren't I? Anyway, there's nothing wrong with all of those careers, but it wasn't me.
No.
I am me. I am an individual. They broke the mold. Here I am.
Now, where were your parents from originally?
They're originally from Columbus, Ohio. I'm a Midwestern girl, a proud Buckeye. And a lot of people think I'm a New Yorker, but I'm not going to knock New Yorkers, but I'm proudly not a New Yorker. I'm a Midwesterner, and Midwesterners are best, in my opinion. That's all this.
Oh, no favoritism going on there.
This is my opinion.
I love that. So anyways, you for the past 20 years, you've been very busy teaching.
Yes, I have taught line dancing. 2025 will be my 20th year.
Oh my God.
It happened by accident. It was something I liked at Nettles. The line dance teacher, who was my very close friend, her name was Linda Ledoux. She taught and she was good, and she had to leave because she had places to go and people to see. And I said, this cannot end at Nettles. I'm going to have to pick up the pace. So I did. And it was out of my comfort zone, I will admit it. But since then, I've been taking lessons. I've been going to classes online. I try to better myself. It's an amazing hobby.
Yeah.
And it's something that I can't begin to tell you how much I enjoy. I'm passionate about it. My class lights up when I'm there. It's all about fun. And boy, I've been having it for 20 years. I have a YouTube page, Sandy Dworkin, if anybody wants to turn that
write
on.
that down.
If you want to write on my YouTube
Dworkin.
page, you'll see something funny, because you'll see some wild things, like the time I went to the Ohio State football game and I had a lot of the tailgaters who were writing rap, and we all danced blurred lines, and it's funny. So I appeal to everybody, I think. Sounds egotistical, but oh well.
I love that. So couple things. Scott and I just started dance lessons. Did we tell you guys?
No, are you kidding?
It was one of my bucket list items, dreams.
Good,
We actually
good.
dabbled in it many years ago after we first got married, but then just life was too crazy. But we've been taking lessons
Yeah.
over at a studio local. But like you said, it's fun, brings you out. It was definitely out of our comfort zone.
Right.
But it's teaching you something new. And I love that you're a great teacher. I
Oh,
think
thank
that
you.
comes from
That's a nice
communication.
compliment.
Yeah.
It has all genres of music that I actually do. Music is what makes line dancing. It's not country. I recently did a song to a Christian rock group called Cain, and it's called "I'm So Blessed." And there's different. You could do funny ones like "Sex on the Beach." I mean, that's pretty
So
fun.
line dancing is not just
It's
designated
not
for
just country.
I didn't really think about that.
No, it is not, and that's what I like. I can do oldies. I did the one Spooky, Dennis Yost and the Classics 4. You're too young for that, probably, possibly. And I'm
56. I don't know.
okay, well, I am 71, but I'm proud. But the 60s and 70s music. If you can line dance to My Guy, Mary Wells, it's all good. It feels so good. Music feels good, and if you can feel it. And everyone says, Sandy,
music.
I have 2 left feet. So I say, I'll make your 2 left feet right. How about that? Huh? How about that?
I like that. I like that a lot. So it is music too. I think music changes the environment. So a lot of times I'll
Absolutely.
put it on in quiet and just in
Yeah.
the background. When I work, I don't know about you, but when I'm working on my projects at home, I
Yeah.
put on music.
Yeah.
So I think the music part with the dancing, you're getting it's physical activity and community. It's combining all the things, I think, dance.
It's everything. I walk every day. I think I've mentioned that to you.
Yeah.
In fact, I feel
Yeah, I
walking
see you doing your-
has helped save me. I'm up to 20,000 steps. Most of those steps are in the house. They are not outside. And you say, are you crazy? Why are you doing it in the house? Well, I luckily have the room in my house, but I'm really not supposed to be outside in the sun. It's not good for what my health has been. So
Right.
I don't mind. I'm not bored in the house because of the music.
Yeah.
I have a routine. It feels good. Everything about it is amazing. Amazing.
that.
Yeah.
I might have to incorporate more steps inside my house and
If
put
you're
on
on a
the
phone
music.
call, why don't you
just
walk? Just walk.
Yeah.
There's no reason to sit down
No.
and be sedentary or whatever that word is. That's a 50-cent word. That is,
I love it. So you guys, your community out at Nettles Island actually is very involved in the community itself, the community at large, because you guys perform at different
yes.
places.
Yeah,
What are some of the places?
We've performed
Nursing-
at assisted living, Grand Oaks, the Cabana. I have performed once at Stewart City Hall. Now that's a weird thing to tell people. They asked me. I met Eula Clark. I don't know if you know her. She was the mayor, I believe, at one time of Stewart, and we met at a party. And she said, "Could you do this dance?" And I did. And it was fun. At Nettles, we will be doing Christmas in the Round, and I find fun stuff to do. I'm doing a Kelly Clarkson rocking around the Christmas tree. You know, I try to do make it fun. There's another Carrie Underwood has Stretchy Pants. That's a song, and that's funny. You know, it's just. It makes it fun. But I've also done Hanukkah stuff too. But I want to incorporate that as well. There's dances you
Into
can
your
do.
dance routine?
Yeah, I've done that. And I think I'm the only person that's done it because I went on YouTube. I didn't see anybody else, any other instructor doing it. I'm sure somebody in the world has done it, but certainly nobody around here in this area has done that. So I'm pretty proud of.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're a member of Cactus Moon Dance Group too, that we actually dance for charity.
We dance for charity. Lisa Johns Gross is the president, and she's the president of PALS, which is the Police Athletic League, which I'm sure you're
Scott's a part of that. He's on the board.
quite familiar with.
Yeah.
And she's the best teacher ever, a great motivator, and of course my friend. And I like that we do a food drive each year. We go to the Treasure Coast Food Bank. We raise funds. I think last year we raised a couple $1,000s. I'm going to say at least two that we donate to charities. And I at the end of the year we will say which charities we will be donating to. And I normally pick the Treasure Coast Food Bank for mine, but somebody also picked Hospice or the Humane Society. There's Elevate Hope. We try to, and that is a good feeling. Charity comes from the heart. Charity comes from what I feel. And you have to feel it. You have to want this and you have to feel it. You don't have to be a rich person.
No.
Because we're not asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just give what you can. Why not?
I think that's one of life's principles, actually. We started a nonprofit too, Bella Healing Hearts Foundation, that serves single mom and dads, because that's where Scott and I come from. We were that person. And I think when I was a single mom with no money, I learned the principle of giving. Even if I didn't have anything, you give what you have. And it's not just money that you give, it's your time, like you're doing with your dance classes in the dance community. They're not paying you.
Not really.
But it's your time, it's your skills, it's your heart and passion. And I think people are more joy-filled if you're thinking of others or incorporate that into your daily life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So love that. Now you had an event, you did the Halloween thing at Nettles Island too, and Veterans Day you did.
Yes. Veterans Day we've never done. I've been living here for 22 years. We were actually never asked to do it. The reason I wanted to do it, one of my dancers is in the Army, retired, of course. And unfortunately she couldn't make it. So I thought, oh my, I'm not going to be able to do it, but they still wanted us. Everybody complimented us afterwards, the choice of music we did, which nobody had heard. It was a Scooter Lee, who you probably don't know. She's big in the line dance community. And she did one called Your Flag, Your Country, Get Ready. And that's on my YouTube page too, Sandy Dworkin.
Check it out.
Want to check out our fun dances that we do. It's just for fun. I mean, we're not professionals here. And I've had dancers from the age of in their 20s to 90s. And everybody has loved that. You know, everybody felt good. I have people that might be special needs that have danced with me, and they do very well.
I love it.
They do well. Yes.
Now this is the happier part of our story right now, but we're gonna go dipping it down a little bit, because life, as you know, is full of mixed blessings. I call it the mixed blessings, bittersweet. There's the ups, there's the downs, mountains, valleys, however you want to refer to it, yin and yang even sometimes, because there's a balance. Before I do that, I want to give you the opportunity to plug. Sandy's a literary person too, and it runs in her family. So can you talk about your brother?
Okay, I would. It's actually my husband's brother. His name is Jim Dworkin, James B. Dworkin. He's a professor at Purdue. He's in his 70s. He has written 5 children's books.
I'll hold some.
And they're on Amazon if you would like them. The Dog and the Dolphin, The Dog and the Jet Ski, Red's Adventure, Scooter the Mischievous the Mischievous Elf. And the funny thing of this, it has the word poop in it, and little 3-year-old love that. The Ghost Who Ate My Toast. I had someone tell me their child demanded they go out and make toast and make cinnamon toast. It's all fun. But what I want to say is I have given out 840 books that he's done. I purchased these books. The proceeds go to a charity for a preschool, and I give them out as gifts to my friends. And I've had people say, do you want me to pay you? I say, no, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
No.
So when each of our kids had grandbabies and the baby would show up out at Nettles Island, Sandy would come out on the dock, come say hello to everybody with the bag. And all of our grandkids did Armani. I don't know if Armani.
Yeah, Armani.
So all of the ones go home
last
with the
month.
book.
Armani did.
So I'm
they
so
did
excited.
They absolutely did.
So
Thank you.
she doesn't just say, hey, you should read. I love reading. Reading's good for you.
Yeah.
She supports her brother-in-law, and she's supporting literacy, and she's giving gifts. She's giving books to people.
Right. I mean,
and it starts as a youngin'. If you start off your kids reading, they'll have a great love for it. Hopefully,
they'll love it.
You'll learn so much.
I've sent it. I have a friend that owns a bookstore. I gave it to her. I just, it's all about giving. I could say go out and buy it, but I mean, you should go out and buy it, of course. But, I'm giving it as gifts. And because I do have a few friends, I made a lot better friends. I gave it to the girl. The post office lady has it for her grandchildren. The shoe store person has it for their people.
Yeah.
The lady at Shuckers has it for her grandchildren. It's, where I travel, when I see people, I give them books because I want to.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good in my soul.
And it's a good gift.
Most people say they do like it. I hope they do.
Yeah. No, that's a good gift for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to talk. And so as you guys may not know, Florida is known for hurricane season, and California is known for those earthquakes, and every area has their own known thing that we have to deal with when nature decides to do some activities.
Right.
So in 2019, Florida had a hurricane come, and Nettles Island's by the water, actually on the river and by the ocean, across from the street from the ocean. But they had a mandatory evacuation. So all the residents didn't have an option, and they had to leave. So Sandy, you want to start off? You were asked to leave.
I was asked to leave. I went with my very close friend. They lived nearby in suburbia, Pinecrest Lakes, which was only maybe 5 miles from Nettles. Not that far, but at least it was safe. I went and I asked to evacuate. I had to bring my 97-year-old dad and my brother and my husband and my dog even. And of course,
Benji, our little
Benji had to evacuate. We couldn't leave him behind. And of course, my son, Jonathan, who's here today. So we went and did that. They really didn't have room for everybody. Of course, the 97-year-old dad got the bed before I did. He would deserve it. I had to sleep on an air mattress. As I slept on the air mattress, unfortunately, it developed a leak. And all of a sudden I woke up and I was laying on the ground, and I said, and my back hurt. On a 1 to 10, it hurt a 20. It hurt so bad I couldn't move. And I thought, oh, well, that makes sense. My back hurts because I laid on wood. But there was more to come. Progressively, it was getting worse. I went to see the kids in California. It got worse. I'd do anything to get rid of the pain. I said, let's go to an orthopedic. So I went to an orthopedic doctor here in the Treasure Coast. And I said, it hurts. He took an x-ray. Well, I don't see anything. Let's do some therapy on your back. So I went to the physical therapist down the road. Yeah, they tried everything. They did the heating and the ice and the exercises, and it got worse. And they said, you know what? Go back to your doctor. Something is wrong. Right. So I went back to this orthopedic person, and he said, okay, let's do an MRI. So we do an MRI, and instead of calling, it caused concern to this doctor. Instead of calling me on the phone and saying, something, I have concern, he went ahead and made an appointment with an oncologist. Didn't even call me and didn't say, I think it's this, I think it's that. he just called this oncologist and I get this call. In the meantime, I had already told him that I would be going to an oncologist because I had gone to an endocrinologist who felt that something was wrong and I had a little extra protein in my blood. So all this time, even though I never for 1 minute thought that I had cancer because I'm perfectly healthy. Mm-hmm. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do something I shouldn't be doing to abuse my body. I stay in shape. I'm walking 15 to 20,000 steps a day by choice. I'm line dancing, which we all just discussed, and I'm happy. I'm enjoying life. But that's not what happened. This is the story. It's fascinating story. So I go back to this orthopedic, and he says, I'm going to pray for you. And I thought, oh, that's really weird.
Strange for a doctor to say that too.
Profession. I mean, that's, I want my doctor to really have some skill. So anyway, so I take, he says, why don't you take your iPhone and take a picture of this MRI? And I don't even know why he said to do that. So I said, sure. And I don't know what motivated me, except we could go into God above or the powers that be. I sent it to my high school friend who is a retired oncologist. He sees it and he says, oh my, you need to get into the hospital today. Because in the meantime, this orthopedic had made an appointment for 2 weeks from today.
That's scary.
So he didn't have the sense of urgency that my personal friend, the oncologist, had. He says, because if you don't, you will be paralyzed for life. And also, by the way, from what I see, you have multiple myeloma. So that's quite about one thing to swallow. This was on a Wednesday and I had to swallow this. And you think, oh my, so I thought, what should my reaction? Now, a lot of people,
urgency,
a lot of people might burst into tears, say, why me and all that. But I didn't. I just, I was surprised. So I couldn't do all those fun things. So I just said, well, we're going to go with the flow. So, I was admitted to the hospital. And when I was first diagnosed, you know what I said? I said, you know what? I'm glad I'm 66 and not 56. That's probably a weird reaction, you might say to yourself, because most people might say, why me, have a pity party and sob? But, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that wasn't my reaction. And the reason was insurance, because I was lucky enough to be on Medicare and a supplement. And that was a beautiful thing because I was hospitalized for 5 months with no copay. So had it been when I'm 56, I would have been bankrupt and had to have sold my house, probably, which is a sad state of affairs.
For the whole insurance.
For the whole insurance, which we could be for hours on that, which I don't think.
Topics and other.
I don't think, we could have many topics.
Sad, hard topic.
And this is all, of course, my opinion that I'm offering from my experience that I've been through. So I'm admitted to the hospital because, like I said, my friend Steve said that I will be paralyzed for life if I don't get the hospital. So he contacted the oncologist that wasn't even my doctor yet. And he got me in to Martin North, which is now called Cleveland Clinic. They transferred me all by myself at midnight in the ambulance. And I'm a little claustrophobic, so that's not a good thing. But luckily, the drivers were all good looking, so it helps when you're
enjoying the view,
a little eye candy
on the ride
when you're having your little emergency. And I had something called a laminectomy, an emergency procedure at Traditions, and they were fantastic. And people like to research doctors, but in my case, it was an emergency because you have to do what you do. Of course, I always thought back to the orthopedic who couldn't figure that out. The surgery was through a neurologist, but I would think if he was in medical school, he might have been there that day and noticed that, you got to have a sense of urgency. This guy did not. This, whoever he is, Dr.
Thank goodness for your friend.
Yeah, Dr. Not Feel Good. There's Dr. Feel Good, and that was Dr. Not Feel Good. So Dr. Not Feel Good is who I was dealing with. So anyway, so we went, had the surgery, found a 3 centimeter of a cancerous tumor in my back. And the hard part about that is I had to do an MRI and I'm claustrophobic. So that's always a fun treat if you have that issue. But you suck it up and you do it. And then I went and had to do rounds of treatment. I had to do chemo, radiation. I still taught my classes in between, but I went to my oncologist, the one here in town, and he was the best oncologist ever. And you might say, why? Because he referred me to Moffitt. Any doctor who could have treated it here himself, who does that, is, in my opinion, that because he said, if it's my family, I want them to have the best.
Yeah.
And the best in this area of Florida is Moffitt. It's ranked one of the top 10 in the United States. It's not number one, but it's up there. And we're pretty blessed to have it. I mean, people are using it. I know celebrities use it. I believe the governor's wife used it recently. So it's all good to know that's what's going on. And then I guess you went the next chapter. What happened?
Yeah. So you're on a journey of healing.
Yeah.
Somewhat. This is a healing journey, and you're doing all the things they recommend. And kudos to that doctor that he was humble enough to say, you know what? There's me, and then there's better than me. I'm sending you to better. So just, again, acknowledge that's what you want in your own journey. It's okay, but a person who reaches out to his peers is that's the better option.
If you have the disease I have, which is called multiple myeloma, you must have a multiple myeloma specialist. You cannot go to any oncologist, even if you're in the smallest hick town in town, and we are from a rural area here on the Treasure Coast, you need a specialist. And I think that's important for everybody out there to actually to realize in the journey that we're talking about.
So let's see.
And I was on TV. That's a funny story. They came to Nettles. And
this before or after?
Before I was sent to Moffitt.
Okay.
One of my line dancers had NBC out there, local NBC, and I was teaching, and I had cancer.
Oops, sorry, guys,
and,
my box fell in the background.
And they interviewed me, and I said, no matter what life treats you, you always have a reason to wake up and be there for the next day. So that's where dancing is therapeutic, is kind of where we're going.
Yeah, she was still doing, so that's a keynote, I think, too, a part of her healing journey. She was still doing her dance lessons, showing up in a community. There's research that backs up community connections.
Definitely.
And of course, physical activity for your brain and emotions. But she still did that. I don't know how she did that. God
I was in
bless
a
you.
play, too. I was in a play at Nettles that was actually written for me before I got sick. And I don't know how I did all that. I'd get radiation and chemo, and I did all that. And that's before I actually even went to Moffitt. But then,
so what happened? So you're doing you had that interview and this and that. And,
yeah, everything's
and then
good.
everything's, moving along. And,
Yep, the way it's
and
supposed to.
You passed all the tests needed.
For stem cell, what's recommended in many cases, not everyone, is a stem cell transplant. And I actually did I studied about, should I do it? I did have the option to not do it. But it is highly recommended. So I asked 10 people throughout the United States. I got names, friends of friends of friends. Someone worked from my hometown of Columbus, Ohio. I would call them and said, what do you recommend? Should you do it? One of the persons had a stem cell and it didn't work for them. But other people said, still do it. Still do it.
And why do they recommend you do this?
Because it's supposed to actually, it's supposed to put you in remission. Isn't that right, Jonathan? Isn't that supposed to
resets of your whole immune system?
It
Reset
is a
the whole
reset
immune system.
of the whole immune system. Jonathan was my my go-to guy. I didn't have time to do research on all that. I just had to show up and smile and say, let's get better. So I did everything. And to be diagnosed is enough. But I asked the man in charge of Moffitt, I said, could anything go wrong? And he said, there's a
1%?
1% chance. He said 1%.
Something could happen.
Yeah, that something could happen. I said, what's 1%? That's
one in a million.
A million.
Yeah.
But later on, I found out that it's 1 in 100. So I don't know 1%. My son, Jonathan, told me in math. Well, I'll tell you, I don't want to be too smart here. So There is actually a 1 in 100 chance. So it's enough, like in the Bible in Exodus, it's enough that God let them out. It's enough. But this wasn't enough, apparently. So I went in, I did find, I gave whatever, they took my own stem cells, through the process. Everything was good. I remember the date that happened. It was August 3rd. It was an outpatient. I don't know why they do it. Some do it as out, some do it as in. I went home. Everything's fine. I did as well as I could. And then day 3, I went there and they said I had a fever and I didn't think anything. So what? And, I texted my son and my family and said, I have a fever. And the next thing I know, I was unconscious.
You passed out.
I passed out. I didn't know it. I didn't feel anything. Bye. To make the story longer, I had developed MRSA and sepsis, sadly. And do understand, I had no immune system.
From the
So
stem
how
cell.
do you fight this?
Yeah.
How are you going to live? You've just had all your immunities taken out of your body. You just had that. And there I am, unconscious, sent to ICU. And they have me in all these tubes, which I don't know because I'm unconscious. So I honestly don't know what was going on.
And your family was there, your husband and son. And
During COVID, also during COVID,
Yeah.
when you're not
double
allowed
edged.
visitors, the only way you can get a visitor at that time at Moffitt is if you were in critical condition,
in
which I was in critical condition. And they called in my son and my husband. They were my health surrogates. And they said, listen, we're going to let her go peacefully. There's no way she's going to make it through the night. The chaplain was there. How would you like us to do this? And they said, oh no, that is not going to happen. You will do everything in your ability to save our mother and wife's life. That was the reaction.
I love your family.
So
I love that.
the point of that
Standing
is,
up to the doctor.
whoever your surrogate is, do not get mad at him that day because you don't want him to say pull the plug. I mean, I know I'm making a little bit of a gesture in a serious time, but these are all things that actually happened to me. And during this time, I had prayers from all over the world. I had
We were
notes-
praying, your neighbors in Nettles.
all the neighbors in Nettles, the Reverend Elsie Campbell, who everybody knew, the late Elsie Campbell, called an emergency prayer session for his church, which, by the way, is not my church. I am Jewish. I belong to a temple. They certainly said prayers in the temple, but Elsie went the next step. He said, you will say a prayer before you go to bed, when you rise up, and in the middle of the day. And for him to say that, it's so beautiful. It's so meaningful. How could I ever thank people? I had, people stopping me in the street later on and saying, we prayed for you. And I don't even know these people. Notes in the wall in Israel. People in Australia, because of my line dance connections from workshops. I was known. Facebook was how we communicated. My son's mother-in-law put it out there. Nobody knew it. I know that my husband would have preferred that she not do that, but I am happy that she did do that because people prayed with all their heart, for me during this.
You were in this was a dire time. We're talking that it was touch and go for a while.
Yeah, for a while, because things would get better. Then I got pneumonia. Things would happen. I'm in a medically induced coma. My son, Jonathan, is allowed in the room because I don't believe Bob could be there at the same time. And he is playing music on my iPhone from the 70s. And here I am in the coma and I can hear Elton John, singing. And, it's just so beautiful, the songs that I could, hear. And I thought, wow, I'm in a deep dream. Jonathan is a DJ. That I guess the last to go is hearing. And then comes the time when I wake up and I see someone says my name real loud. It's a doctor. And I say, what is going on? I see tubes out my nose. I'm breathing with oxygen. I have a feeding tube in my stomach. Oh my. What?
Yeah, remember she was she got unconscious, fell out, and has no idea.
I had no
At this
idea.
point in her,
So
whatever happened in her dream.
I had no idea what happened. I woke up and I see all this and I said, oh my, I must be quite ill. And then I'm thinking, what happens if I die? And the answer is, then you're dead. So I was okay from then on. I said, you know what? There is nothing I can do about this. So I need to let it happen as it should or should not. And of course, I thought of my grandchildren. I thought of my family, but I can't do anything. I cannot. And I had Jonathan was one of my first visitors. And I said, Jonathan, I don't think I'm going to make it. And he was a cheerleader who said, oh, yes, you are. And he was passionate and he was there for me, as was Bob as well. Bob mostly took care of the communication that needed to be taken care of with the family and friends. And Jonathan
And all the neighbors.
did that. Jonathan spoke to the CEO of one of the places I was in, and she let us have extra visitors, which was very sweet. And he was constantly studying what do we do next? How do we handle this?
Yeah.
What can happen? And at the time, I actually did not turn to prayer. But since then, I certainly have made up for it. I'm currently in a Bible study. That's the most important thing
I think that's so neat.
that I look forward to. I'm reading the New Testament, which as a Jewish person, I'd never read. I started the Bible study. It's diverse. It almost never gets through anything because we go to the Old Testament, go to the New Testament. I listen in the morning to the old and new. This diversity has Jewish people. My cousin Diane is a Messianic Jewish person. I have Jehovah's Witness in this group. And of course, born again Christians, Catholics. And it's all good, all good stuff. I know people have certain feelings on this. I know we have several people in the group and some have dropped out, and one of the people dropped out. She said she couldn't be with me because I have not accepted Jesus as my savior. So I've had that. I've had people say that. And when that happened, I had people when I was in a critical condition and they said, I burst into tears because you haven't accepted Jesus as your savior and you won't be going to heaven. I had a friend say that to me. Now, this is a touchy conversation, but I feel
very controversial for
it's
some
controversial.
people. For some people,
I feel I can bring it up.
but it's we're in our podcast is all about education and faith and learning and transformation. So Sandy's in a serious research mode now. Her life was impacted.
Yeah,
she's a miracle walking.
We've all heard the expression, if you don't accept Jesus as your savior, you will not be going to heaven. I'm sure you've all heard it. But since I almost did die, I really did not want somebody to tell me that I will not be going to heaven. And so I decided to study Jesus, who I found out was a rabbi and a teacher and was Jewish and observant of all the rules. Now you can go into Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They actually at the time did not know Jesus. Did they go to heaven? Did they? I don't know. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a scholar. I only have Sandy's opinion here. But I talked to Elsie Campbell, who is a scholar. He is deceased, which I'm sorry to say. And he said, if somebody said that to you, Sandy, they were very judgmental.
And very ignorant.
You will be going to heaven. And they were wrong. And that really makes me angry. I discussed it with my rabbi. Matthew Durbin is a rabbi here in town. And he said that nobody could make that. Well, people can make this statement, of course, but that doesn't make it true. I realize that I'm touching on a controversial subject, but you know what? I've opened my eyes. I am learning who is Jesus. And people that prayed for me prayed in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
I am very appreciative. I had, my nail lady is a Buddhist. She prayed to Buddha. She said the prayer she did to Buddha. I am very appreciative of that. I will not scorn her for doing that or judge her because it's not my religion or my belief. This is a healing journey that I did. I went through this. This is my life and I'm better for it. You could say, did God test me? You could say that. Did God test me?
I don't believe in that.
I
don't think it's all about like if you're a good person, bad things don't happen to you because they do. We all have this world is broken.
Exactly.
And things happen to us all, good or bad.
You've done your research. You've done what's needed to do. But this is just, I don't call myself a scholar, but I call myself a person of life experiences.
And a life learner like me, like a lifelong learner.
I am a lifelong
grow and be our best.
I'm a lifelong learner and I'm learning every day. The Bible fascinates me. I was reading Jesus was baptized and I said, where is that written in the Old Testament?
John baptized.
Right. But where in the Old Testament is baptism written? And then they're saying that's a Greek word, but actually it has to do with immersion and in the mikvah in the Jewish religion. So I'm bringing up stuff to these people in my Bible study group who have studied for 30 years or more, and they love my questions. They love where I'm going with this, and we all feel fulfilled as a sisterhood of God. A sisterhood of, we want to say the Hebrew word is Adonai. We are the sisterhood of Adonai, and
I want to come.
it's all good. It's all good. It's all meaningful. And this is my story, which I want to thank Georgette Beck for letting me share with you, the audience.
Yeah, Sandy, that was beautiful. So when I moved to Nettles, we all have our own lifelong journey, and close relationships are sometimes hard for me because I come from such a background of insecurity, of people judging and criticizing. So sometimes, Scott and I have a lot of acquaintances, but then that deeper inner circle, it's a smaller circle. So I love that, Sandy. We're getting connected and we share parts of our hearts at different times. I'll be out on the dock reading my book and she'll come out and chit chat for a bit. And I like those little chit chats. And then when they're walking and we run into each other outside, we catch up and I like that we're getting to know each other.
Exactly.
And I'm really glad that you said yes to the podcast. I'm new at this. We're celebrating a year actually end of this year.
Thank you.
So it is about helping people. So your story is going to help people, I think, in a lot of ways. Let's just recap. First off, she's a living testament to, the power of family and bonds and relationship, community, being involved, doing what you love, surrounding herself with what you love, music.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And she just does it daily, all of the time. And I think that's part of what kept her there too. And then plus good family relationships, your family were your advocates. Because nowadays, sadly, guys, let's just talk the truth. There's certain segments of our society that for some reason life is not of great value. There's controversial too. Unborn babies, and they seniors and elder. They think, someone else thinks they can make a decision on when is life valued and when it's not a human being. So those are things that bother me. So I love that your family stood in the gap, because if they had not done that, she wouldn't be here.
That's true.
And then besides that, and then the power of prayer. There's so much research out there and the mystery of it, but there's so many stories documented that when people are praying, things are happening behind the scene. I call it in the spiritual realm. Behind the scene, things were happening. And yeah, you're not just living. She didn't just survive. She's living she's living, and now she's finding great joy in research. And I think it's enhancing your Jewish beliefs and your relationship way.
It is. I've had some people come up to me and say, why don't you convert to Christianity? And I made the choice not to do that. I was born this way, and it's my choice. But there is nothing wrong if somebody would convert. My cousin is a Messianic Jewish person. She has accepted Jesus as her savior. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just that
Yeah, a lot
I
of people
haven't
do
done
that.
it, but
Yeah.
you know, equal opportunity.
I want to come to this group because I've always wanted to go. I went to a Jewish synagogue once. I want to learn about the Jewish roots because as Christians, we do have the Jewish roots. I believe that.
Yes.
So we have that in there. I always ask my guests before we wrap up because we're going to close it down here. Do you have a favorite book that you like that has made a difference in your life?
Well, I guess I have to say lately, I'm going to have to go with the Bible. I mean, that wouldn't have been my first choice, you know, years ago.
But it's your newly found.
It is. I'm sure another controversial topic is if you asked about banning books, but I'm sure that we don't want to bring up.
I think that's a mistake.
Yeah,
that is
a mistake.
Proven to be mistake.
Yeah, because I hate to think that they would ban the Diary of Anne Frank here.
Yeah.
But, you know, I know we don't want to discuss that, but lately
I love
the
books.
Bible, and you know, if you want to talk about banning books, which you didn't ask, and I'm sorry I'm bringing this up, but I will, people might
I'm a
say,
literature lover, so bring it up. Bring it up.
Say, let's ban the Bible because there's some controversy there. There's some stuff going on, you know, the concubines and all that.
And any book, but who's going to choose?
Who's going to choose?
Yeah,
Who is
who
making
decides?
that choice? So I know we didn't choose to make that, but I thought, why not bring this up?
Put that plug in there.
We're putting it in there.
Listen, I since you brought that up, Sandy.
Yes.
How about how about a hard copy in your hand versus internet? So who controls the internet? So I don't mind. Listen, if you want to do audio, that you know, however you learn. Some people are just visual, auditory. But
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
Literature has been around for centuries. Hardcover books. And matter of fact, it started on the scrolls.
Yes.
That's why we know what we know today because
Okay.
scrolls were found, written words on paper. So someone controls the internet out there. Are you going to trust what you know, all the knowledge out there? No, history has been, they've been deleting stuff from our history for a long time. So that's another, you should come back.
We could come back.
You should come back and talk about that.
It caused enough trouble today.
Do you have a favorite quote or affirmation that comes to mind quickly? Like, do you have a favorite life motto or something that you
No,
remember?
my life motto is to have fun. And
That's
someone
a good
asked me,
one.
what is my favorite song? I've had the times of my life. That was from the movie Dirty Dancing. Because
remember that song.
I've had the times of my life. And that's a positive, uplifting song.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, feel good.
Yeah.
Feel good within yourself because that's what life is about.
Yes, I like it. Now, did you have a mentor at all throughout life? Did you have a certain person that, like, at a key juncture, they said something or mentored you, or you just remember them? Like, some people have a teacher they always remember. If it wasn't for that teacher, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have someone that stands out?
I can't say I do, but I will say this, but let me make this comment if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
I'm on Facebook, which we've all discussed. I'm friends with my gym teacher, Miss Bassnett. And she has told me that I've come a long way because I used to skip her gym class. I used to cut her class. And so, you know, so that's kind of a cool,
beautiful relationship.
yeah. So she said she's impressed with the line dancing because she knew I used to cut her class and go home and have Pop-Tarts in the house, you know, and the chemistry teacher I'm friends with. So they're not my mentors, but they're amazing people that it's cool that I'm connecting with now. They're in their probably 90s because I'm in my 70s, let's hope. And, it's all good. It's all good. My dad is an amazing man. He's still alive. He's 97. He's been an amazing influence on my life because his motto was to have fun. and I like it. I'm enjoying life, and
like
that's
it.
what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Sandy, Jonathan, can you come stand behind your
You
mom?
have Jonathan come
Let's
here
meet
for a minute?
Jonathan.
Yeah,
this is Jonathan.
Yeah.
Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
And we have great conversation. Jonathan's traveled the world. He's been a teacher over, where were you teaching? In China.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, he researches all these trip opportunities and took his parents on a trip. But we want to thank everyone for listening to Junk to Jules podcast with Georgette Beck today.
Yeah.
Don't forget to go get the book, Junk to Jules. You can pre-order now on Amazon, and it's going to be available now on all the platforms. Follow Junk to Jules podcast on YouTube and all the audio, Apple, Spotify, and go to YouTube and see Sandy's page.
Yep. Thank you, Sandy Dworkin. Thank you.
Sandy Dworkin, and then the show notes will have the spelling of her name too, but it's Dworkin. Sandy Dworkin. So thank you all for listening. Have a fabulous day, and like Sandy says, listen, love life, live it out, and go do something you love. Take care, everyone.